Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day where, once again, this is like the 7th time I've had to start, but it's because the bloody machine, so it's just acting laggy and choppy. Oh boy. Anyway, though, I hope your day is a good one. Because I'm facing this way, I can't see what's on my monitor, so I don't have anything written down on my screen. I do have stuff written down on a post-it note, and I wanted to show off and talk about these. Oh, every time I touch something, my tablet and stuff moves. Let me adjust where I am on screen. I have finally gotten all 7 of the Fabled Lands books. Now, I want you to take a look at the size of this one. This has a very monstrous heft, quite a girth to it. And it compared to these others especially. When I showed up, I actually thought they had sent the large print edition. I mean, these things are larger than normal paperback size anyway. But the print is normal size, while the pages are oversized. And then this, I was just absolutely positive they'd sent the wrong thing. But no, same print size, it's just that much book. So hopefully here, as well as the other things, I'm going to start doing this system as well. That'll be a good thing. Start doing the readings and the playthroughs of that. So yay! Yay! Also, a few other things that I don't have here because I had therapy today and it's early for me to be able to do this. In fact, it's usually late afternoon before I can do any recording or anything at all on my therapy days. Not because, you know, anything gets so terrible. It's just I've talked about this with my therapist and he's described it as our memories, our minds are like a big, big lake. Well, we only see the top part of it. There's a hole underneath here where everything else is. And there's all this weird fishing line that's rolling around and getting stuck on pieces. So when you drag up a memory, all that fishing line might drag up a whole bunch of other stuff with it. And then you didn't think that dealing with this meant you had to suddenly deal with this and whatever got pulled up with that. You gotta let things kind of settle back down. Takes a while, but for me today, things seem to have settled, so did things work well when I had therapy or not? I don't know. Yay? They went well. So that was just me being philosophical. Anyway, though, I do have some things written down. One of the things was, I watched the thing on animation and how smears can be used even in digital animation. And smears are the weird, if you don't know, the weird animation frames that are badly distorted that actually make things work better, gives your eye and brain a hook on what's happening. Some of the smear stuff is like they squash and stretch faces and heads during a turn so that it's literally impossibly flatter and stretched out and then back to normal on either end. And without that, it looks weird. But the squash and stretch like that makes your brain go, oh, okay, face turn. And so there's a lot of smear stuff like that and use of multiples on, like, if you want to show fast action, you show many fists, that sort of thing. And I was thinking about that because one of the things I've noticed is AAA games, they're really pushing the whole realism front. And a lot of indie games, while they do push the realism front, they're also dealing with more stylistic art styles and not going for realism. And I was thinking about that because in animation, you may have one of the older Batman cartoons or such like that, character with a cape where when they're standing on a rooftop, maybe that cape is flapping out far, far more than it normally would. But the way it's flapping out and filling up that part of the screen sets a mood and it lets you know what's happening. And when you have the photorealistic art, you can't do that. And these art shortcuts aren't shortcuts. They're things that our brains accept and go, oh, this means this. So not being able to have those stylistic art styles because you're pushing realism, that really robs, well, whatever you're trying to do, of a lot of life. So thumbs up on that. Look for the smear animations. They're usually only 1 or 2 frames. They're fast, because if they're any longer, they look weird. But when they're short, fast, 1-2 frames, it fits. It's perfect. So thumbs up for that. And I just thought about that because when I was watching that, I was thinking about the whole, emoting through art. So, yeah. And let's see, what else do I have on here? Part of it was Jesse Koskinen, and I was going to talk about this anyway, asked me, how's the smoke alarm situation doing here now? Well, that thing is up there blinking red at me again because right around midnight last night, suddenly mine and my cottage mate's thing goes off again. I've been lucky. I haven't actually been lying down and trying to fall asleep when that goes off. I imagine my cottage mate over there in his own apartment place has been. It's only the fact that I get to bed late that I've been up and about. I usually get to bed midnight, sometimes 1. It's been 2 o'clock on really bad nights. So I was awake, but that did not stop me from jumping out of my skin, let me tell you. They say it's the air because they're so sensitive. And we have work going on out there, and I don't know. Because I went in there to talk to them, and they were, it's always amazing how it happens when the staff isn't here. When the mice are away, when the cats are away, the mice will play. Well, I mean, again, number one, I can understand their view on that because, I find cigarette stuff where cigarette stuff should not be. So people do things like that they're not supposed to. But I'm not. I don't know if my cottage mate is. It's just all of a sudden, boom. And I know other people in other cottages that have been ready to tear them off the roofs because they've gone off in the middle of the night while they've been trying to sleep. They're doing stuff right on the hills out here next to my cottage. But I don't know why it's at night. Thumbs up. Still though, aside from jumping out of my skin periodically, I really like living here. It is a good place, and I can't remember if I've talked about this before, but it is small enough that I can largely take care of it. But it's also small enough that it's like occasionally cabin fever sets in, and I gotta get out of here because otherwise, so I'm out and doing walking. So that's a good thing. Not too big and not too small. Any smaller would be bad. I mean, 170 square feet, it's rough, and I have to have the storage unit that I'm paying for my stuff that doesn't fit here. And of that stuff, I need to decide, do I want to keep my bed? It's a 2-person bed, and I don't know that I'm ever going to have a situation where I need a 2-person bed. So there's a lot of stuff like that I need to decide, do I want to keep it, do I not? But that's in the future. For right now, I'm doing okay. And as stated, I really like it here. I like it. So thumbs up on that. And I talked to them in there just saying, I like it here. I'm very appreciative. I want to do everything I can to stay here. So I do go in my chores in the community center because I don't mind giving back. I am very appreciative. If it weren't for this place here, I would still be in Port Orchard, and I'd be living there in an old nursing home. So, and that'd be, ugh. So, thumbs up. What else do I have on my list? Oh, there was cosmic horror. Somebody was talking about some things in horror where they really like the kind of horror where when you take a character and toss them into danger, that's every movie. But when you've got the character suddenly realize that they haven't been thrown into danger, but they've been in danger for a long time now, and they're only just noticing, that's what he enjoys in horror. And yeah, that's much more, you got to think about it, because as you're realizing it, the characters are realizing. Let me try that in English. As you are realizing it, the characters are realizing it. So you're both realizing it together, and then they're like, oh my God, now I got to figure out what's going on and how to get out of it. When, of course, there may be no way to get out of it, because on the whole front of cosmic horror again, I really like the idea of the kind of, this is, think about this in medicine, so it fits for other horror situations too, where by the time you even realize there's something wrong, it's way too late. By the time you realize you're in danger, there's no way to get out of danger. You're just walking along a predetermined path now. There is an inevitable end. And I kind of like that kind of story, where by the time the characters realize that they may keep trying, but with that particular situation, I mean, that's not the best kind of story, and you don't want to read it all the time or hear it or watch it all the time, because, I mean, they lose. Now, the kind of things I see a lot used to see all the time in horror movies, still see occasionally in horror stuff online and such, is where they set up the premise. They have the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then in the last 30 seconds, they throw out the whole movie, and then, you know, it's like, oh, we saved the planet from these alien things. And then a tiny bit of alien stuff that they didn't see zaps another animal, and it's all gonna start over again, except the people who did save it have left, which means it's all gonna start over, only it isn't gonna be stopped, and everyone's going to die. So why invalidate the entire movie you just did in the last 30 seconds? I hate that. You gotta stay consistent on it. So thumbs up. I mean, you may be following logic that logic can't really be applied to. Because I'd like to read a story or see a movie or some such like that, where the characters realize they're, or at least one of them realizes they're in a cosmic horror situation, and they've got to try their best not to go insane, because there's bits and pieces of things all around them, like artifacts or just the way places are built. It would be, say, corridors, you know, like underground or in a facility or some such, but there's cosmic horror objects. And as I've defined them, they're objects, beings, locations, or situations that are existing or doing something in a way that we can't comprehend, and with little or no regard for human life or safety. And so there could be a thing that they are looking at that they don't understand is a cosmic horror thing, an object with cosmic horror attributes to it, something you can't understand, but your brain is going to try to understand it. I mean, it may just look like a plate, but if it's got aspects to it, then your brain's going to try and put it together, but your brain isn't getting all the information. It can't. You would need senses we don't have to pick up and interpret this data that we normally don't receive to be able to figure it out. But we don't have those senses to pick up those signals coming up out of that. And the way I figure it in cosmic horror, you go insane from this sort of thing, from your brain trying to figure it out, until it literally and figuratively tears itself apart. When you're absolutely insane, I mean, they can find like lesions and other bits of brain damage from trying to figure out a cosmic horror being, object, location, or situation that we cannot comprehend, doing something or something existing in a way we cannot know, with little or no regard for human health or safety. So yeah, it would be interesting to have the characters realize that they're getting headaches from looking at these things because they're not things that we can look at and comprehend. So trying to not look at things that are dangerous so they don't lose their minds, and they're getting headaches from their heads trying to figure this stuff out when they can't. That would be interesting, I think. I don't know where it would end other than likely all of them dying. Other than I have also posited exposure. In human terms, this prompts the growth of structures in your brain that begin to allow you to understand these things. Because we do not have the senses to comprehend anything beyond 3 plus 1, 3 spatial dimensions, 1 time dimension. But these are more than that. A 2-dimensional object casts a 1-dimensional shadow. A 3-dimensional object casts a 2-dimensional shadow. A 4th-dimensional object casts a 3-dimensional shadow. We don't have the organs to be able to do this, but I posit in these stories that you grow the brain structures that allow you to interpret and manipulate the shadow being cast from the 4th dimension. And as you gain the ability to do that, you gain more brain structures that begin to allow you to access all of these things that normal humans can't. Because now you have the brain structures and senses to be able to interpret them. Of course, a normal human being isn't going to be able to understand you anymore, and you aren't going to be able to understand normal humans anymore, but at least it didn't drive you crazy. Of course, now you fit in the category of being, existing in a way that we cannot understand. So, yay for cosmic and existential horror. The only other things I really have listed on here are, one is orcs and tea, since in my solo RPG setting I'm positing that the goblin races, since there's just the original elven race that branched off into, they split in speciation off into human beings, and then they split in speciation off into goblin races. Not really goblins, but not human or elves either. So even though I call them, goblins and hobgoblins, they don't look like traditional orcs and stuff out of, like Tolkien. They would still qualify, they're not green-skinned with warts and nasty, gnarly teeth. No, they look like, largely people, just with their own species variations. So, yay! And I was just working on that. But then, the last thing is just my fears of mortality. I've been having trouble with that. Oh boy. For well over several decades now, I have been okay, having dealt with it, okay with the idea of my own mortality. Where the worst part of it was thinking of the pain of perishing rather than the actual perishing. Non-existence, not too bad. I mean, bad, but not something I wanted to think about, but I wasn't terrified. I've been able to fight and negotiate with it. of late, I have had my door kicked open and this big old beast has come inside and just gone, "Oh, you thought you had me all figured out, huh? Well, guess what? You were wrong." Because, oh boy, yeah, I'm back to dealing with existential fears. The thought of non-existence has become terrifying again, and I don't want to die. I mean, nobody does, but I thought I had dealt with all this, and suddenly having it rush back in is unpleasant, because fears of mortality can bring about very unpleasant mental states. And when you're already prone to anxiety, and I used to have panic attacks, that doesn't help. Especially when stated, I've been talking about in the past here, people like Janelle Jacques, who worked in D&D for decades, dead at 67. So many other people that I've read about and followed, dying at 70. Yeah, the idea of I only got maybe 6 years left is not fun. I'm hoping for more. I still got health issues I got to get checked out. I got pains in my right side here still, and I'm hoping ain't horrible. But fears of mortality, encroaching mortality, that black wall of void rushing at us all. Yay, it's fun being frightened of mortality. But past that, I am going to still, as stated, try and do some of these. I got paperback, the solo RPG stuff. I've got board games I want to play again. I still want to replay 8-Bit Dungeon for the game. That one is exceptionally random. But I haven't given it the right shot because I've been fighting against the rules, and the rules are not as bad as I would think, because the punishment for death of your character is you lose a bit of equipment and you subtract your level from your maximum hit points. So if you're level 0, the only punishment you get is equipment loss. There is no real harm, or gold, I can't remember which it is, but it's not a lot you lose. There's no real penalty for it. I should redo it. It's only after you start getting up level 2, level 3, level 4 that you die. You just lost 4 of your maximum hit points, and when you only start off with, like, say 30, and suddenly you're down to 26 maximum, and then you're down to 24 or 22. So yeah, perishing when you got higher levels is a punishment for real. So I got that sort of thing I want to redo. There's the one deck dungeon. I think it's one deck dungeon I want to replay for the channel. I'd Bag a Dungeon and Bag a Dungeon 2. So yeah, lots of stuff. Will I get to it? Hopefully soon. I hate executive function and dysfunction issues. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very good thing. I was gonna say something stupid, and that is indeed a can of red beans. But, I mean, hey, if you can put red beans in the comments to let YouTube know that people watch the videos, that'd be awesome. Yay for engagement. Thumbs up. Thank you. You take care. And I'll see you in another video.